What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be breaking down options trading. All right, let's start with the basics. Imagine a stock is currently priced at $100. You think it's going to go up maybe to $110 or $120 in the next few weeks. Instead of buying the stock itself, you could buy what's called a contract, and that contract gives you the right to profit if the stock moves in the direction you think it will. That contract is called an option, and what makes it powerful is that you can control 100 shares of that stock without actually owning 100 shares. So instead of spending 10 grand to buy 100 shares of a $100 stock, you could spend maybe $200 or $500 on a contract and get exposure to the same amount of movement. If the stock goes up, your contract becomes more valuable and you could sell it for a higher premium. If it goes down, your contract loses value and it's going to tend to lose a lot of value. That's options trading in its simplest form. You're basically buying and selling contracts that move in value based on what a stock does. All right, now let's talk about what an option actually is. So an option is literally just a contract between two people where one person pays money to buy the right to do something later and the other person gets paid to make that promise. There are two main types of options. You have call options, which is betting that the stock is going to go up, and then there's going to be put options where you're betting that the stock is going to go down. And remember, when you buy one of these options, you're not buying the stock itself, you're buying the right to benefit if that stock moves how you predicted. Now let's dig into what a contract actually means. So every single options contract will represent 100 shares of a stock, and that's why even a small move in the stock can make the contract's value change a lot. So when you open a contract, you choose two main things. One, the strike price, which is the price level you're betting around, and then two, the expiration date, which is how long you're going to give your contract before it becomes worthless. Before I move on, every single contract is going to give you a different percentage return depending on the strike price and the expiration date. So if you want the best percentage return, you got to choose the shortest expiration date and then the highest strike price. But that also means if it's not going to hit that high price in the short amount of time, you're going to lose all your money very fast. The expiration date is super important because as time goes by, the contract will slowly lose value. Even if the stock doesn't move, that's called time decay, and it eats away at the price of the contract the closer you get to expiration. So if you buy a contract that expires next Friday, for example, every single day that passes, the clock is working against you. Your contract is going to lose value no matter what. But here's the key. You don't have to hold your contract until expiration. Most traders don't, and I never do. So to sum it all up, you're not actually buying or selling shares, you're just flipping contracts. Now, the amount you pay to buy a contract is called the premium. This is basically the ticket price to enter that trade, and premiums could range from literally a few pennies per contract to hundreds of dollars or even thousands of dollars. But that all depends on how expensive the stock is and like how much time is left in the contract and how volatile the market is. If the stock moves in your favor, the premium you paid goes up, and then you can sell the contract for a profit. If it doesn't, it's going to go down and then you can sell it for a loss. It's that simple. You're not buying a stock. You're buying and selling a premium that changes in price based on what that stock does. All right, I just want to do a quick recap on everything that we've covered so far. So you have a contract, which represents 100 shares of a stock, a strike price, which is the price your contract is based on, the expiration date, which is the date your contract ends, a call option, which is where you bet that a stock is going to go up, a put option, where you're betting the stock will go down, a premium, the price you pay to buy the contract, time decay, your contract loses value the closer it gets to expiration, and volatility, how much the contract price changes when the stock moves or news drops. If you understand all that, congratulations, you already know 80% of what options trading really is. All right, now let's talk about why people trade options. People trade options because they give you leverage and speed. With a few $100, you can control what normally would cost thousands of dollars in stock. But there's another reason: current events. If there's breaking news, new government policies, or earnings announcements, those can make options explode in value. For example, if Apple reports insane profits one morning, call options could shoot up 500% plus in minutes. That's why so many traders are drawn to options. They react fast, they move fast, and they can make you a lot if you're on the right side. All right, now I'm going to talk about the most important thing in this video. You need to trade with logic and not feelings. Really listen to me, people, all right? If you're the type of person who gets overly excited if a stock goes up and freak out if a stock goes down, options trading is not for you. You need to buy a contract because of an economical and logical reason, not because you feel like it or because you're following a trend. That's gambling. You're gonna lose your money, I promise you. All right, I'm gonna give you guys a quick example of what I did for an economical and logical trade, in my opinion. So back in April of 2025, Donald Trump, he announced tariffs on China and I did put options on Nike because Nike makes all their products in China. So now their costs are gonna go up because they're gonna eat that tariff and their profit's gonna go down. So I thought logically the stock was gonna go down. So I was betting a lot of money that the stock would go down, and it did, and I made a lot of money. So that's how you should do options trading. Another thing I'd like to add is there's something called the 90-90-90 rule, which means 90% of traders lose 90% of their money in the first 90 days of trading, which is why you guys need to be very careful when entering this game. All right, I wanna show you guys how to do options on Robinhood, which is where I do my options. So first, we're gonna pick a company. Let's just take Nvidia, since this is the first company I see. You're gonna press on that. Right here, it's gonna say trade options. And if it doesn't say that, you need to turn on options trading, which is in your settings, and you're gonna have to go through like a little form. So now you're gonna see this. This may look confusing at first. I promise it's not. So here, buy, sell, call, put. So right now I have buy call because I want to buy a call option. And then here's the date. So you choose an expiration date. Let's do Halloween. And now you see all these different prices, all these numbers. What do they mean? This basically means that right here is the strike price. If I wanted to buy a Nvidia call option where I think the price will hit $185 by Halloween, that would cost me 550 bucks. So it says 550, but you do that times 100 for all the shares. So that's that. All right, guys. So that's the basics of options trading. If you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section. I will be replying. If not, thank you for watching and have a good one.